we are looking again at the LifeGuard Kit and a particular section of it. Let me put this open here. We're going to be looking at section 3, what we call, not section 3, sorry, the big 3, which are healthcare directives, power of attorney for finances, and then your will and or trust. So that's the section, and when you complete these, if you have a LifeGuard Kit, you would simply go to the appropriate section, section 8, find section 8, and you can put that information here, or simply take one of the page protectors, put your finished, completed, notarized document inside, and then simply just put it right behind that page. You'll easily be able to find it in the future as needed, or somebody else may if necessary, if you're not able to. Okay, so that's the LifeGuard Kit and where you would store it. Here's the actual document. This is one of the items that would come with the LifeGuard Kit, but this is also a free download. You'll see a link in the description. You can download this for free and use it, share it, totally fine. So let's just go through this briefly so you have an idea of what to do with this. So here we have the name that you can enter for who this review is about, and then also the date of the review. Just for reference for later, you may want to do something like this every year or every so often. If you've got some changes in your life, you might want to revisit these. So we've got the 3 items here, the advanced directives, and we can see that's section 8 if you have a LifeGuard Kit, power of attorney for finance, section 9, and then will and trust. Those are 2 different things, but we kind of group those together for right now, and those would be stored in section 10. So let's look at these one at a time here. So the last time you were updated, if you happen to know it, you can put that in there. If not, it's not a big deal. But your advanced directives are who you would want to make medical decisions for you if you're not able to, and also listing some of those decisions. So you may want certain treatments, you may not want certain treatments, and then that would be in that document, and you would also have up to 3 different representatives to kind of be your advocate with the doctors for those choices that you made. So your first choice would go here. If this person is unwilling or unable to help out in this situation, you can have a second, and in many cases there can be even a third person that you can list. So if someone has the advanced directives, they can kind of see who those first, second, and third choices are, and those that individual that steps up to the plate for this would be able to communicate with doctors and with others. Many times an advanced directive is on file with your doctor's office or a hospital or something like that, but obviously you have to make this and have your own version before you can give somebody a copy. Down here, this is where you can find different, not versions, different copies of it, if you will. So for your advanced directive, once you have that completed and you have it notarized, you can do something like, hey, does a person or a location, like where can I find this? And this is for like different copies of it. So let's say that the original, you can simply circle original, is in a location, and that is my LifeGuard Kit. There you go. And then underneath it, you could say, oh, a location has a copy, and that's my doctor's office. And you can list your doctor's office name or address or something there. You could also put a person has a copy, and that is my friend, my child, adult child, or something like that. So you can actually have an idea of where you have copies of this, not just the original, which ideally should be in your LifeGuard Kit in a waterproof, fireproof safe in your house. And the same process is going to continue for the next couple items. So you have a power of attorney for finance. This is a document that once it's completed and notarized, I believe this one needs to be notarized as well. And by the way, it depends on the state whether or not something has to be notarized or just 2 or 3 witnesses or a combination of both of those. So you should check your state. A quick search online should be able to help you figure that part out. But generally, if you notarize things, that is kind of the highest form of authentication. And even if you have the option to just list witnesses, for some things like a will, they would have to track down those witnesses in order to confirm that it's legit. So notarizing is the best option if possible for all 3 of these. So the power of attorney for finance, this is going to be who can make financial decisions for you if you're not able to, if you're in like in a coma or something like that. That's when this would kick in, not before that, if it's set up properly. And these are called agents. So you may list your first agent here, and this is the person who, if they're willing to accept the responsibility, could then make financial decisions on your behalf. And what does that mean? Well, you may get a check in the mail from something. This person could then deposit that into your account. Or you have a bill that's due. Maybe it's a phone bill or a mortgage payment or something. This person could pay out of your account to pay those expenses. They are kind of responsible. What's the term? Fiduciary? I think they have like some fiduciary responsibility. It means they have to be acting in your best interest. But without this document in place, this power of attorney for finance, then they really can't take some of these actions. And and I've experienced this with my mom, who was incapacitated for several months, it is extremely difficult to pay bills, to cash a check, to just to do a lot of these things that we just kind of take for granted. So that's why I believe this is very important. You can pick a first agent, and if they can't or unwilling or unable to, a second, and sometimes even a third. And then the same thing here. Where's the original? You might want to say the original is in a location, and that's in my LifeGuard kit. Okay, that's going to be something we see frequently. Next could be, oh, a person has a copy of this, and maybe it's one of these, maybe all three of these individuals have a copy of that, and you can just list that they have them there, and you may have another copy somewhere else. So, okay, we've got a location, a copy, and that's, well, don't put it in a safe deposit box because you won't be able to access it, and that's something that's very needed. Also experienced that. So just list where these originals and copies could be found. And finally, the will/trust. This is a whole nother section, and at some point we'll go into a deeper dive of all the different aspects of it. But generally, people know what a will is, and that is if I pass away, here's where I want my stuff to go. Or if I have minor children, this is who I want to take care of those children. And a trust, similar to a will, but a lot more benefits, and that is items can be put into the trust that kind of more easily pass to the recipients, if you will, without having to go through the probate process like a will would have to, which is a kind of a longer, more expensive process. We'll talk about that more later, but for a will, you have an executor. So the executor is the person that's going to carry out the wishes of your will. And you can have a first choice and, of course, a second and a third. Ideally, you talk to these people so they already know ahead of time. And yes, they said they would be willing to act as an executor for your will. But again, if they can't, or for whatever reason at that point in their life they are unable to, you can have a second choice here, and then of course a third. And once you have that will and or trust, and that's signed and notarized, and it's good to go, and it's replacing all previous wills in this case, you want to make sure you put the original in a location like your LifeGuard kit. And of course, you can have copies of these that could be either somebody could be holding onto a copy, or you may have a location, you may have a lawyer that has a copy of this, a law firm. It could be a person, it could be one of these executors that has a copy of this, but ultimately the original you want to keep with you in your LifeGuard kit or whatever binder storage thing you have, but in a fireproof, waterproof safe in your home. So that's kind of how these are set up. And we do have a little section here for notes. So as you're going through this, you may say on the will, you're kind of just reviewing it. You've done yours several years ago, and maybe you want to change the executors, or more likely than not, you could have some minor children that aren't accounted for in the will. In other words, maybe you've had more children, or maybe some of your minor children are now adults, and it's like, yeah, okay, it's time to update this will. Or there could be times where you would say, you know what, hey, this is the person we chose to take care of our kids before, but now just because of life and circumstances and where people live and things like that, hey, I would like this person. We're going to talk to them and see if they'd be willing to take our minor children if anything were to happen to me or to us. And once we know that that's something they'd be willing to do, let's update our will. And by the way, all three of these you can do online for free. I know there's services out there that you can pay to have these done, which is great. But one of the things that I would recommend is going online and using free tools out there to get all three of these done. And then once they're completed, if you have any question, if you have a complicated estate, it may be best. And again, I can't give legal advice, and nor would I, But going online and creating these 3 documents, you can then take these to a lawyer and have them review them each. So once they review them, you can say, okay, I mean, I believe personally that these are going to be 90 to 99% perfect as is. Um, and once they're created and signed and notarized, they're legal documents. But having an attorney review each of these is not a bad idea to make sure that something isn't missing for your particular state, and or some kind of wording or verbiage or something like that. But that would be much less expensive to bring in 3 completed documents to to an attorney and say, could you review these, as opposed to, hey, I need an advance directive from scratch, or the power of attorney for finance from scratch, or a will or a trust from scratch. So definitely, I recommend doing these online first and then getting them reviewed by an attorney. So that's the big 3. Once these 3 are done, you are ahead of so many people in the United States that don't have these done. There are so many countless stories of um, not having a will, and that just turning into family arguments that can last for years. So having a will really gives not just a peace of mind for you, but when you're gone, it really is going to help the family um, take the appropriate actions that you wanted to. They don't have to figure out, they don't have to guess, they don't have to fight over certain items that might be sentimental to one, but maybe not to another, or whatever. You've spelled that out. So this is a service that I really feel everybody's obligated to do for the rest of their family. Whether you have a lot of stuff or little stuff, you still need to create that will and put that in there. And if you have minor children, you definitely need to make sure you have this will in place. Otherwise, the state has a kind of a list of order of who they would say um, would be able to take care of your kids. So, and that may not line up with what you want. So highly recommend that you get these taken care of as soon as you can. If you already have them, go through and review last time you updated those and see if any changes need to be made. And again, this isn't it's a little bit difficult, and I know it's not a topic people are super thrilled to be talking about, if I'm incapacitated or if I pass away, but it is something that needs to be done. And these are great tools for when you can't be there to do what you need to do.